30 years after WWE brought Summerslam to Wembley Stadium in London, England, they had 80,000 people. Classic show, Bret Hart and the British Bulldog for the Intercontinental title. They have not been back to the UK since for a major stadium show. That is, until today. When this show was announced, there were a lot of listeners of the show who were very excited. A lot of people who listened to the podcast who I know were at the show. And they were very excited because it's been 3 decades since they have had a major show like this. It was all built around the main event. Roman Reigns, 2 years as the Universal Champion, putting his titles, both belts, on the line against Drew McIntyre, right? The Scottish Warrior. A lot of fans in the UK for Drew McIntyre. He's coming home. Not really, but, he's close enough. Coming home. Building to this big moment. It felt like this was going to be the WrestleMania moment that he did not get. 2 years ago when the pandemic hit and he won the championship in an empty warehouse. This was going to be his WrestleMania moment here today. And it didn't quite work out that way for Drew McIntyre. There are going to be a lot of very upset Drew McIntyre fans. There are going to be a lot of very happy fans who are happy that he did not win the championship because they did not want to see Roman Reigns lose here at Clash at the Castle. Roman Reigns has been the champion for 734 days coming into today. He will hit day 735 and beyond because he is still the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. He defeats Drew McIntyre in the main event here on this pay-per-view. I said it the other day. I said, if Drew goes in there with all this hype and all this build and the video packages, and he got the Broken Dreams theme here. He came out to Broken Dreams and his regular theme music, right? It was all built up for him. And if he goes in there and he doesn't walk out as the champion, they will have lugered him. Lugered him. He can thank Solo Sikoa for that. Solo Sikoa is the newest member of the Bloodline. Hey guys, look, the Bloodline is expanding. The Bloodline is expanding. They were expecting a new member of their family, and we got to see him tonight. Tonight, the Bloodline gave birth to Solo Sikoa. Called up from NXT, he is now officially part of the Bloodline. The Usos were not there tonight. Sami Zayn was not there tonight. Paul Heyman was not there tonight. Roman was all by himself. But alas, we have a new member of the Bloodline that has arrived. Little bundle of joy. Solo Sikoa. Look how cute. I'm happy for Solo Sikoa. Solo Sikoa has been great. Solo Sikoa has been one of the real standouts on NXT 2.0, and the rumors have really been getting more intense in recent weeks that he's going to be called up to the main roster. We just didn't know when. And we got our answer tonight. Let me just say this. For the story that they built with Drew McIntyre, this was about as bad of an ending as you could have come up with to what was otherwise, I thought, a very good show. This will go down as one of the better WWE pay-per-views of the entire year. I very much enjoyed this show for the most part. I had a lot of fun watching this show. I was looking more forward to this show coming into today than any other show this weekend. And the 2 shows tomorrow are going to be fucking great. I have no doubt about that. But this is the one, for some reason, I was looking forward most of all to this show. And I thought that they largely delivered. But then you come to the ending of that show. And it very much reminded me of a Vince McMahon ending. Where there's a lot of bullshit going on. And a lot of, smoke and mirrors and stuff. And there's a ref bump. And then there's this. And carrying crosses at ringside. And there's all these different things going on. Tyson Fury, Austin Theory tried to cash in Money in the Bank. 2 times in a row now, he's tried to cash in Money in the Bank and has been foiled. He's like one of the 3 stooges now here in WWE. But in the end, they put over the heel. And we have seen that time and time again in the last 2 years as Roman has just gone on this tear and he has run through everybody that there is to run through. The one reason that I'm not completely, down on this finish is because I look ahead and I say, well, if not Drew McIntyre, then who? My answer all along was Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is to me the much better story. I have no idea, though, if that's what they're going to do. It could be a situation where maybe it's not going to be Cody Rhodes. Maybe it's going to be somebody else. Maybe they want the titles on him going into a potential match with The Rock, who they don't even know if they're going to have him or not, at WrestleMania next year. Of course, The Rock does not need to be in a championship match, so to me, that's completely pointless. But honestly, I look at the roster now and I say, if not Cody, then who? Drew lost. Cody would seem to be the obvious choice. And so if it preserves the Cody story, I'm okay with that. But man, that was a downer of an ending to what otherwise was a very good show. And the people who are really sour about that ending and everything, I mean, I get it. You know, you build up a major show like this. I think it's part of it is just fatigue. We've had other stadium shows where Roman Reigns goes in there in front of 50, 60, 70,000 people and the heel goes over, right? He went over in the main event of WrestleMania last year. He went over in the main event of WrestleMania this year. He went over at SummerSlam last year against John Cena. He went over at SummerSlam this year against Brock Lesnar. He went over at Clash at the Castle tonight against Drew McIntyre. The list of victims is long for Drew McIntyre. So Roman Reigns, the modern day Superman, he just gets even more strong. He gets even more, they build him up even more as this unbeatable force. And you just look at the roster and you say, again, if not Cody Rhodes, then who? What are they waiting for? What are they building towards here? Yeah, are we going to wait until WrestleMania next year? I love it. Solomonster the Bushwhacker. By the way, for those of you who may be wondering, you might not even notice, but as I was about to go live tonight, the light bulb blew. I went to go put the light on, the bigger room light, and the fucking thing blew. Literally 5 minutes before I was coming on live. I said, shit. It's a good thing I have these lights over here. So if it looks a little bit different, then you'll know why. But, Lex Luger celebrated his failed championship win with balloons back in 1993 at SummerSlam. They hoisted him up on their shoulders, and we had the big balloon celebration at the end of SummerSlam. Tonight, Drew McIntyre got to sing karaoke with Tyson Fury. At least Lex Luger won his match, which is more than I can say for Drew McIntyre. I get that they were trying to, send the crowd home happy. So they had Tyson Fury in the ring singing songs. I'm sitting here going, what am I watching? I mean, if you're going to end the show by having Solo Sikoa debut and join the Bloodline and have Roman Reigns go over and tell this heartbreaking story of loss for Drew McIntyre, go off the air with that. Frankly, I don't know why they put that on the air. I would have cut the show off before Tyson Fury started singing like it's American Idol. He's in the ring singing, what was he singing? American Pie. Drew McIntyre is in there trying to get him to sing Sweet Caroline. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy was tortured a couple of weeks ago on television by the Bloodline, left for dead, welts all over the back of his body. Laid out the Bloodline on Smackdown last night, telling the story of redemption. He loses. He gets screwed over. They fucked him over in the main event. And he's out there smiling, going, Cardiff, it's time to party. He came off like such a fucking loser when this was over. That's really my issue with this more than anything else. Drew McIntyre, whether you like him or not, is still one of the top babyfaces on either roster. They don't have too many of those. Triple H is trying to remake the roster right now, but Drew McIntyre is still either the number 1 or 2 babyface that they have. And that ending did not do him any favors. It made him look like a total loser. So I don't know what they were thinking with the ending there. I know that's Tyson Fury's thing where he sings songs and all that kind of stuff, but my God. Drew McIntyre going in there and saying, hey, let's party, everybody. I just bet maybe he's going to go to the bar. He'll be at the bar. He'll be sitting on the end of the bar, 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to drink his sorrows away. He didn't look too bothered by what happened tonight. Or today. Forget it's the afternoon. But it wasn't just about the main event. We had Seth Rollins. We had Matt Riddle. Speaking of personal issues, we saw what happened on Monday night. They had a personal issue coming into this event today. They ended up having also a very good match. Not as, the thing about it is when you really think of the match that they had, there was nothing about the match that was really any different than a regular match that you would see the two of them have. Riddle had a little more intensity about him, but I still thought they went in there and had a very good match. And again, The heel goes over. The babyface is left almost in tears at the end of it. And you're wondering, where next? We have Extreme Rules coming up next month. Very likely this issue is not over between Riddle and Rollins, but you just look at it and go, what's next? Guy went in there and he fucking lost. Fair and square. Heel goes over. But then there's Walter and there's Sheamus. And here's a match where the heel went over and I didn't mind it at all. This was the match I was most looking forward to. Everything this entire weekend, the one I was looking forward to the most was the Intercontinental title match. We have not seen the Intercontinental title defended on a pay-per-view in almost a year and a half. It's been about 16 or 17 months. WrestleMania 37. You would have to go all the way back to the Nigerian drum match with Apollo Crews and Big E. Big E, who isn't even wrestling anymore, and Apollo Crews, who apparently isn't even Nigerian anymore. He comes out on TV, he's dropped the whole accent, he's dropped the whole gimmick. That's how much time has gone by since the last time that championship was defended on a pay-per-view. Walter, doing his very best, as is Triple H now, the way he's being booked, doing their very best to try to restore some value to a championship that has not been valuable in a very long time. I would argue has not really been valuable in decades. Decades. He went in there tonight with Sheamus, who has made it very clear in the build-up to this, it's the one championship that has eluded him. He cannot call himself a super, what do you call him? He did an interview with Ariel Helwani, like a super Grand Slam winner, until he wins the Intercontinental title. It didn't happen for him tonight, but those two guys went in there and they had a fucking war. And I loved every single second of it. And even better, Imperium is back together. The world is healing itself. Triple H righting the wrongs of the past regime, reuniting Imperium, which, by the way, as the bloodline grows and the bloodline gets stronger now, so too does Imperium, which now have all of their members back together. Could make for an interesting program down the road. What do you think about the bloodline and Imperium? I don't know if that's in the cards, but boy, that's sure something I'd love to see. Could happen. But Walter and Sheamus had the match of the night, better than anything else that we saw on this show. We also saw Dominic Mysterio turn heel on not only Edge, but on his father as well. When I say he turned heel on his father, he wrecked his father with a clothesline. He absolutely destroyed him with a clothesline. And I was very uncertain about what a heel Dominic Mysterio would look like. I still don't know if he's going to be able to carry this. We haven't even heard his first heel promo yet. I'm a little afraid. But what we saw out of him tonight, I thought was great. If this is a sign of what's to come, this kid might yet end up being a good heel. We'll see. But I thought the heel turn actually went down perfectly, even though the Judgment Day suffered another loss. We're going to go through this whole thing here. This is your WWE Clash at the Castle review 2022. I am the Solomonster. Hit that sub button if you are new here and you are not subscribed to the channel. I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that. Look at the Ultimate Warrior. He's blocking the subscribe button on the screen. Get the fuck out of here. Look at this guy shaking the ropes. But yes, hit that subscribe button. Super chats are open. We already have a whole bunch of them that have come in. Boy, I'm sure you guys have a lot of divided opinion on this show, mostly positive. I have a feeling that when we look at the Twitter poll later, I have a feeling the vast majority of the people who watch this show are going to be positive about it. I am. I enjoyed the hell out of this show. I thought this was an excellent show. But I want to hear from you guys. We'll go through your super chats later. The goal for Be the Booker, if we are going to do Be the Booker later on, is 650 likes. I need at least 650 likes on this live stream, and we will do Be the Booker later on, so hit that thumbs up, because every time you do so, it does help out the video. Now let's get into this here, because I do want to have dinner before 10 o'clock tonight. We are of course talking about Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. They announced the attendance here for this show, 62,296, which actually sounds legit. I thought they would announce a much higher number. If it's not legit, it's probably very close. And again, no need to exaggerate. They had 62,000 people in the building today. That's pretty damn good. They were loud. You know, I was looking forward to the show in part because of the UK crowd. They have not had a stadium show like this in decades. So you knew they were going to be energetic. They were going to be up. They were going to be loud. And they did not disappoint. Although I might have to give the edge to the crowd in Montreal that we had on SmackDown a few weeks ago. I'm just saying, that Montreal crowd was something else. But 62,000 people, loud and very fun atmosphere, I thought. I thought the stadium, looked good. They didn't have any kind of really fancy set, but they did have a very cool-looking video screen. It was almost like in the shape of a castle above the ring, in the shape of a castle, like a Videotron that looked very cool. They added a pre-show match with Austin Theory, who is officially back to being Austin Theory. He got his first name back. So first we get Matt Riddle, and now we have Austin Theory. I wonder if Big E does eventually manage to get back into the ring, if we're going to have the return of Big E Langston. Do you think Triple H will just bring back all the old names? We'll get Big E Langston back? Probably not. But we had Austin Theory tagging with the Alpha Academy to take on Madcap Moss and the Street Profits. Michael Cole was just blasting through that microphone. He flew all the way to Cardiff, and he left his pop filter in the U.S. It sounded like he was overmodulated, but they did fix it pretty quickly. So there was a great spot here where Otis went for a flying crossbody, and Moss caught him and hit a fallaway slam, which is not easy to do. The finish was even better. Everybody was on the floor except for Montez Ford and Chad Gable. Gable tried to give Ford a German suplex off the apron. Montez held onto the ropes, and Dawkins pulled Gable off the apron, had him on his shoulders. Montez then hit a dive over the top rope into a blockbuster on Gable, off of Dawkins' shoulders, onto Moss and Otis and Theory at ringside. And Montez Ford hit the frog splash for the win. Fans pop big for the finish. And the only other thing I have to say about this is that I am happy that Austin Theory got his first name back. So now we get into the pay-per-view. Let me see a real quick check here on the likes. Oh, we're getting up there. Getting up there. Remember, 650. 650 is the goal. Pay-per-view opened with the 6-woman tag team match. Bianca Belair, Asuka, and Alexa Bliss taking on Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. Officially going by the name Damage Control. That is the name of their group. It was on their Titantron as they came out. Bayley was trying to be a heel. Bayley was trying very hard to be a heel. But the people in Cardiff loved her, and they started singing, "Hey, Bayley, I want to know if you'll be my girl," singing to her like they did many years ago. And they sang to her for the first, I'd say, half of the match, probably. There was a triple suplex spot where the baby faces took all three heels over. That was convoluted, but kind of cool. Michael Cole then, now this blew my mind. This was like the first big surprise of the night here. Michael Cole on commentary acknowledges that Asuka and Io have history together in Japan as part of a faction called Triple Tails. We got a Triple Tails reference here on WWE television. I was not expecting that. But he did mention that. He mentioned that they were in the faction with Io's sister Mio. I feel like we're living in some kind of alternate timeline now, where certain things were being said on television that it just feels wrong, like on WWE television, that we would be seeing and hearing some of the things that we are. But it's nice. Isn't it nice to acknowledge every now and then that there is a world and a universe that exists outside of WWE? I also just can't get over Io and Mio. Io and Mio. Oh, Andre, that's right. They had a press conference. I forgot about that. Well, if you watched the press conference, let me know how it was. I saw they were doing a post-show press conference, kind of like maybe taking a page out of AEW's book, which I would like to see them do that. I would like to see them copy something like that. So let me know how that was, if it's worth going back and watching after the fact. Io and Mio, I feel like they should bring her sister in, so they could be a tag team. So Alexa Bliss caught Bayley with a cannonball off the apron, and Dakota Kai took advantage, blindsided Bliss with a shotgun dropkick. And the heels cut off Alexa for a while, and Kai made a blind tag, rocked Bliss with a running kick in the corner. Eventually, Asuka got the hot tag and ran wild. Bianca finally tagged in. She hit a spine buster and a standing moonsault on Bayley for 2. Io hit an Asai moonsault onto the babyfaces at ringside, and Bianca went for the KOD on Dakota, but she escaped. Bayley tied up Bianca in the corner by her braid. Shout out to Rasquan, who just became a sound-off legend. Now you can go back and check out all the cool stuff in the archives for channel members. Welcome to Rasquan. Bayley tied up Belair, as I said, in the ropes with her braid. Kai hit the running boot in the corner, and Bayley hit the rose plant. Io Sky hit the moonsault, and Bayley pinned Bianca Belair to win the match for Damage Control. I thought this was a good opener. They gave them nearly 20 minutes, and that was a recurring theme for a lot of the matches on this show. Really, it's a recurring theme so far in the first month of the Triple H administration, or a Triple H era, whatever you want to call it, where we're seeing these longer matches on TV. We're seeing longer matches. Maybe in some cases they wouldn't go this long on pay-per-view if somebody else was running the show. But we're seeing more of this, and I thought this was good. And look, they didn't load the card up with 15 matches, so you can give certain matches more time that you wouldn't be able to give them if you had a bloated card with too many matches. And this was exactly the finish that when I did my predictions last night. This is the match finish that I predicted. This is exactly what I would have done. You know, Bayley's crew lost in the finals of the women's tag team tournament on Raw Monday night. They absolutely could not have come in here and lost this match. I mean, it just wouldn't have made any sense. So for them to come in here and win was the right decision, but having Bayley be the one to pin Bianca sets her up now as the #1 contender for the Raw Women's Championship. So I thought it made sense all around to do it the way that they did. Now, backstage earlier today, they showed footage of Tyson Fury walking up to Drew McIntyre to shake his hand in the back. These two have been talking smack for years on social media and in interviews to each other, so here they were very cordial. They were like long-lost friends. Shout out to Crazy Gacy for subbing to the chat. For subbing to the channel, not just the chat. So after they showed that, they came back live, and we saw Tyson Fury sitting in the crowd. He did make the announcement a few days ago that he would be in the crowd. He was going to be at the show. And the only question was he going to get involved? He did get involved in the main event. We'll talk more about that later. So then this was also one of my favorite parts of the night. They aired highlights of the 1992 SummerSlam match from Wembley Stadium, the last time they were here in the UK for a major show. Bret Hart and the British Bulldog for the Intercontinental Championship. And then they cut back live and they introduced Bret Hart, who was in the crowd. And actually, I think the Bulldog's daughter, Georgia, I don't know if she was there. I don't know. I saw a picture of her on social media. I know that she did her hair in braids the way her father had his hair in braids back in the day. I don't know if she was actually at the show or not, but they showed Bret Hart sitting next to who I believe was his daughter in the crowd. And when they showed Bret Hart, gigantic pop. Gigantic pop. And he didn't stand up or he didn't get into the ring or anything like that, but it was so cool to see him at that show, given how much of a tie-in he had to the last big show. And I know that he was in the area. I think he was doing some kind of a signing or a convention or something. But if he was going to be in Cardiff, how do you not invite him to be part of this event? So I was very happy to see him there in the crowd. I fucking love that they had him there for this. And it just feels right for him to be part of a show like this. And it was the perfect segue into the Intercontinental Championship match with Walter, Gunther, call him whatever you want. I'll call him Walter. Walter defending his title. As I said earlier, the first Intercontinental title defense since WrestleMania last year against Sheamus. We see Ludwig Kaiser standing in the aisle, getting ready to introduce Walter. And the camera pans back, and we see standing next to Kaiser, he introduces his good friend, Giovanni Vinci. So he's not going by Fabian Eichner, which I believe is his real name, and they're trying to get away from real names. So they're not back to the name he was using in Imperium, but they have taken Giovanni Vinci, who they repackaged in NXT. And they have brought him back as part of Imperium. They have promoted him to the main roster. Imperium has been reunited. This was a very unexpected surprise, but a very pleasant surprise. Imperium never should have been broken up to begin with. They were a strong trio together. Kaiser and Vinci are a great tag team. Former NXT tag team champions. Tag teams are not exactly at a premium in this company. Tag teams are what they need more of. And so, if nothing else, what this does is it gives another strong tag team for them to use on the main roster. I love that aspect of it, but I love that they put these three back together. You got Kaiser on one side, Vinci on the other, and here comes Walter standing in the middle. Imperium is back. Triple H righting the wrongs that were done before him. Piece by piece, week by week, bit by bit. I fucking love it. Love it. And it just proves that he was thinking the exact same thing that a lot of us were. When all of these changes were made, when Karrion Kross got called up and they put a fucking helmet on him or a mask or whatever the hell it was, and they took Scarlett away, and all the other stupid shit that we saw when they would call people up from NXT, or they would call this person but not this one, you had to know that Triple H was watching that going in his mind, what the fuck are they doing? Right? But he wouldn't talk about it because, of course, he's not going to talk publicly about it. But you know that in his head, he was thinking a lot of the same things that we were thinking. All you have to do is look at the moves that he's made in the last 5 or 6 weeks. His actions speak louder than any words he could have spoken. He's doing what he can to try to right some of those wrongs. As a fan, I appreciate that. It's one of the more refreshing changes that we have seen with this shift in power in WWE. It does feel more fan-friendly now than it did 6 weeks ago. I hope that trend continues. So it was great to see Imperium back together. The Brawling Brutes were out there. Imperium were out there. They start brawling. But Walter and Sheamus are in the ring doing what they did on TV a few weeks ago, where they just stood stoically staring at each other while all of their henchmen brawled around them. And we saw Pete Dunne come off the top rope with a moonsault onto Imperium. They all fought to the back. So they were all gone. And we were down to 2. We were down to Sheamus and we were down to Walter. 1-on-1. And as soon as the bell rang and the two of them started trading shots against each other, the crowd went nuts for it. This was a crowd that was looking forward to this match as much as I was. Sheamus got Walter on the apron. He went for the 10 beats. Walter escaped. Sheamus was on the top rope at one point, and Walter chopped him. Just chopped him all the way down to the floor. Sheamus fell. He hit the apron on the way down, fell to the floor. Walter slammed him onto the flat part of the ring steps outside. Sheamus barely beat the count back into the ring, and the two went back and forth with chops. And Walter was just brutalizing this man. Now, Sheamus is somebody, obviously he's very pale. So whenever Sheamus wrestles, it doesn't take a whole lot to see marks and red welts and bruises on this guy's body. So you had to know coming in that he was going to walk out looking very different than he did walking in. And it didn't take more than a few minutes of chops from Walter. This guy had a bloody chest. I mean, his chest was beaten. It looked like raw meat. And he had burst blood vessels, and you could just see. It was painful to watch. But he was laying those chops in. I think those chops should be certified as a lethal weapon. I'm surprised they let him overseas with it. Especially the ones high up on the chest. You know, when he gives somebody a chest chop, that's bad enough. But when he chops them up around the throat, like the Adam's apple area, like right below, it's just like, you've got to have pinpoint accuracy, because can you imagine being in the ring with Walter and he misses by an inch or two and he chops you in the Adam's apple? You're done. You're done. You're finished. So Walter slammed Sheamus on the floor and threw him over the announce table. Sheamus still fought back. Back in the ring, Sheamus finally landed the 10 beats. 2 went outside the ring. Sheamus went for the 10 beats, this time while he was standing in the crowd, and he had Walter up against the barricade. And again, pounding the chest. Sheamus went to the top rope, hit a diving knee drop, both of them on their feet, trading blows. And Walter stopped it by hitting a German suplex. Sheamus countered with a running knee strike for a near fall. Walter sunk in a sleeper hold, and Sheamus came back with the white noise. Walter kicked out. Sheamus stood up, and the crowd followed suit. They were into Sheamus. Sheamus was the babyface. There was no debate. Sheamus was the babyface here in this match. And they were cheering for him. They badly wanted. They kept chanting, "Let's go, Shamo." They wanted to see him win this championship. Sheamus went for the brogue kick. Walter avoided it, countered with a drop kick and a power bomb for two. And it was an ugly power bomb. It was one of these power bombs where he over-rotates and almost lands on his ass. But it was more like the lower back. It didn't look good. It didn't look like a nice landing. It didn't look good. And I said, please kick out. I was hoping against hope that was not the planned finish. And if it was, they would call an audible and kick out of it. I don't believe it was the planned finish anyway, but he did kick out of it. You know what it was? It was Diesel and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 11. Except that was the finish, and it looked awful. So thankfully, Sheamus kicked out. Walter went to the top rope. Sheamus cut him off, landed a bunch of chops, and he went for the Celtic Cross. And he got him up, Razor's Edge. He got Walter up on the Razor's Edge and hit it. And he bounced off the mat, and he went for the pin, and he kicked out at 2.9. He kicked out. Sheamus set up for the brogue kick, but as he went to come in for the kick, he immediately like it spasmed. He immediately clutched his lower back from the earlier abuse and the power bomb and everything. He grabbed his back in pain. Walter gave him another power bomb, which looked kind of similar. Again, he got a little too much rotation on it. He didn't try to pin him though this time. They told a story with their faces. This right here was probably my favorite part of the entire match. He gives him this power bomb, and both men are down. And Walter is looking over at him, and Sheamus, again, clutching his back, is looking at Walter, and he's got this expression on his face like, I'm not giving up. And he's shaking his head, and Walter has a look on his face. He's saying stuff and, whatever, and he's trying to talk shit to him, and he can't believe it. And the people can see this, obviously, on the video screens up above, and they're going crazy. And Sheamus is trying to will himself back into this match. They told the story just with their facial expressions here. Unfortunately for Sheamus, when they got back to their feet, he got caught with a huge lariat, and that was it. 1, 2, 3, Sheamus is done. Walter retains. This was another 20-minute match. There are not enough words for me to express how much I fucking love this match. This match, whatever I expected this match to be, it lived up and exceeded those expectations. It was everything I was hoping that we would get out of a match between Walter and Sheamus. Right down to the crowd reaction. The crowd was with them every step of the way. They badly wanted to see Sheamus walk out with that Intercontinental title. And just to go back to the Drew McIntyre thing for a second, I think part of the reason that finish was so deflating is because when you look at the rest of the card, well, Riddle lost, right? That grudge match, again, the heel went over, the babyface lost. But I take it back to the Intercontinental title match. So you had two major championship matches on this show. Drew McIntyre obviously went in there and he lost. He failed in his mission to win the championships from Roman Reigns. When Sheamus lost this match earlier in the show, I thought to myself, well, Sheamus losing only increases the chances, I would think, of Drew McIntyre walking out as a winner. Because the fans were really deflated when Sheamus got pinned and lost the match. So that's one guy who failed to win the championship. Maybe they're setting up for the happy ending at the end of the show. But no, Drew McIntyre lost, just like Sheamus lost. So it was almost like they gave this crowd blue balls, where they were expecting to get at least one big championship win here on this UK show. And both guys went in there and both guys fucking lost. So when the show is over, you kind of feel like, you're hoping for that big moment. You didn't get it here and you didn't get it in the main event. They didn't give it to you at all on this show. So again, Sheamus had the welts all over. He's going to have Kofi Kingston chests at the end of this. So welts all over the place. Welts for the Celt all over his chest. You could tell this guy was in a war, and the post-match was awesome. The post-match, they stopped the music. Walter is gone. Imperium is gone. Sheamus is in the ring all by himself. And he's in pain and, again, bloody and everything on his chest. And he gets up and he gets a standing ovation. 62,000 people here in Cardiff give this man a loud standing ovation. And Sheamus is not one that you see get emotional ever. He looked like he was getting close and he was trying his hardest not to, but he acknowledged the crowd. He kind of put his hand up, thanking them basically. It was nice. You know what it reminded me? And I hate to even mention his name. There was actually some guy in the crowd tonight, and the camera picked up on his t-shirt that said, "I'm a better father than Chris Benoit." I couldn't believe they actually got that on camera. But I am reminded of the Royal Rumble match in 2003 between Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. Benoit lost that match. Kurt retained his title. But when it was over, Benoit was all alone in the ring, and the crowd showered him in a standing ovation. They showered him in applause because they went in there and had this great fucking match. And even though he lost, he left it all in the ring. Very much like this match, right? That was a very physical match. Benoit and Angle were very physical guys. But they gave him the standing ovation out of respect. That's kind of what this reminded me of. Only here you had a much bigger audience for it. Sheamus is very much an MVP in this company, and I still feel like he doesn't... I say this a lot, actually. I still don't think he gets the respect that he deserves. I think more people are coming around to how good he really is. And it's amazing to think that he's been in this company now for, on the main roster, well over a decade. And he has done just about everything there is to do. Every accolade that you can think of. He's been a Money in the Bank winner. He's been a King of the Ring. He's been a Royal Rumble winner. He's been a World Champion, a WWE Champion, a Tag Team Champion, a US Champion. There's Universal, I guess, and Intercontinental. Outside of that, what has this guy not done? And he goes in there. He's always reliable as far as getting a great match out of him, whether he's in there with Riddle or he's in there with McIntyre or he's in there with Walter. Last couple of years, he's really been an MVP. And even Big E, when he had the feud with Big E and they had that great blow-off, I think it was like a Falls Count Anywhere match on Smackdown. It's kind of his gimmick now. He goes around talking about bangers. I'm going to go out there tonight. I'm going to have a banger. Well, tonight was a fucking banger. I want you to go out there and find me a better Intercontinental title match in the last 5 years than the one that we saw here on this show. The last 5 years, the last 10 years, the last 15 years. I know Chris Jericho and Rey Mysterio had that great series of matches. I think it was in 2008 or 2009. But they weren't anything like this. This was a fight. And hopefully not the last time that we will see these two in the ring together. This was great. So then we have the SmackDown Women's Championship. Liv Morgan defending her title against Shayna Baszler. Shout out to everybody who is joining here on a late afternoon stream. This is, if you are tuning in late, the Clash at the Castle review. And we are aiming for 650 likes on the live stream to do our Be the Booker feature a little bit later. We're only about 50 away. So we can smash that. I'm sure you guys will smash that in the next 5 minutes. Liv Morgan countered some submission attempts early on by Shayna. Morgan went to the top rope. Baszler pushed her to the outside and was mocking her. Baszler threw Morgan into the guardrail and rolled her back into the ring, and she was working over her injured arm. Because again, Liv Morgan was the underdog, as she is in every match that she's in. So she's still nursing the injured arm. That's the story they told throughout the entire match. Baszler landed a running knee strike for a 2 count. Morgan was on the top rope, and Shayna went to the second rope. She tried to do something to her arm. Morgan, though, worked her way out of it. It looked like she was trying for a sunset bomb. Shayna held on for a second or two, and she ended up giving Shayna a running, kind of like a running power bomb out of the corner. Shayna immediately transitioned out of that, though, into an arm bar. Liv got to the ropes for the break. Shayna went for another one. Morgan caught her with a code breaker and then hit the Oblivion for the win. This was the shortest match on the entire show. Went about 11 minutes and change. There was absolutely no reason for this to be anything other than the shortest match on the show. This did not need to go longer than it did. It took a while to get the crowd into it. The crowd didn't care. at first. By the end, they were reacting to it more. They were part of it is, I don't want to just attribute this entirely to this, but part of this is that they were in the unenviable position of following the Walter and Sheamus match. And so I don't care who you are. Anybody who was going to follow that match in front of that crowd in that stadium after the reaction that it got and the standing O that it got, yeah, the energy level was going to be a little bit down. You know, you got to have that come down before you kind of raise them back up. And I'm sure that's why they put this match, frankly, in this position. So by the end, though, they seem to be more into it. I'll say this. It was better than I expected it to be, but it's very hard for me to watch a lot of the weak offense that we were seeing from Liv at the beginning of this match. Some of the shots that she was throwing and Shayna having to sell for it. And, you know, I understand wrestling's all about suspending your disbelief. I mean, God knows I do that plenty of times, but there are just certain times where it's just ridiculous. And this was one of those times. It was ridiculous to watch this, but look, I would have put the title on Shayna. I would have done a title change here. I wish that Triple H would go all in on kind of the old NXT Shayna Baszler, the killer Shayna Baszler, and do something with her and with Ronda Rousey. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. I would assume. Well, you know what? We'll see. Because as I think about what's next for Liv Morgan, you would think that, well, they're probably going to do something with her and Ronda Rousey. They're just going to move them back together. There is always the wild card of Charlotte Flair. She should be back at any time. I can't imagine it's going to be that much longer before we see Charlotte back on TV. So get ready for the return of Charlotte Flair. But even if Charlotte doesn't come back right now, in storyline, Ronda Rousey was just reinstated to wrestle again after being arrested last week. And she's on probation. And then last night on Smackdown, she went in there and assaulted Adam Pearce. So what sense would it make to transition Ronda Rousey into the championship picture when she just, under probation, assaulted a WWE official? So I don't know if they're going to suspend her again. I don't know how they're going to handle that. It wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense, though, for Ronda to be next in line for a title shot. So I don't know what they're going to do. But this here was the weak link on the entire show. Samantha Irvin introduced two special guests in the crowd. Exotic Adrian Street, who was there with his old manager, Miss Linda. And Johnny Saint was sitting there as well, the general manager for NXT UK, or what used to be NXT UK. NXT UK is being sunset. It's about to go away. After tomorrow, there is no more NXT UK. You can kiss NXT UK goodbye. So I guess Johnny Saint is going to be unemployed after tomorrow. But I was not expecting an Adrian Street cameo here on this show. It was nice to see him in attendance and them paying tribute to him. So then we have a tag team match. We've got Edge and Rey Mysterio with Dominic in their corner, taking on Finn Balor and Damian Priest of the Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley in their corner. 20 years ago this year, Edge and Rey Mysterio won the WWE tag team titles. And here they are 20 years later, tag team partners yet again. Rey and Dominic were out first, and then they played Edge's music. And out comes, I don't even know if I should call him Edge, or I will call him El Diablo Edge. This is what we saw when he came out, when he got in the ring. You know, as I look at him here, and for those listening on the audio, I have the photo up on screen. But as I look at this, I see a little bit of El Generico in the mask. But honestly, my first thought when he came out looking like this was, why is Edge out there dressed like Fuego del Sol? But there he is. You ever wanted to see Edge in a lucha mask? I mean, we've seen Edge dressed up as one of the conquistadors many years ago. But if you ever wanted to see Edge in a lucha mask, you got your wish tonight. We'll call him El Diablo Edge. He looked like he was having fun out there. And in the ring, he took the mask off, and crowd gave him a standing ovation. You know, they gave Sheamus one earlier. They also gave Edge one. They were very happy to see Edge. I feel, in a way, like I'm watching the retirement tour after what he said a few weeks ago. I feel like we're maybe seeing the retirement tour of Edge, because after he beat Damian Priest in Toronto on Raw 2 weeks ago when the show went off the air, he gave a speech on the house mic to the live crowd, and he said, Toronto would be a great place for my career to come to an end. And he was talking if maybe SummerSlam comes there. I don't know if there's any talk about SummerSlam possibly coming to Toronto. Maybe he knows something we don't. But if SummerSlam were to come to Toronto next August, I get the sense that he is looking at that as a potential, retirement date. I mean, we all know how retirements go in wrestling. Edge retired, 10 years ago or 11 years ago, and now he's back wrestling, right? Who would have expected that? But I don't know. In a way, it feels to me like maybe, as he's doing these shows, he's kind of soaking it all up, that maybe we are in the midst of his final year or so of doing this. Michael Cole made it a point to mention how upset Dominic was that his father chose Edge as his tag team partner. And he mentioned the fact that he was acting, very, very jealously recently. And that was a foreshadowing of what was to come later on here in this match. Edge gave Rey a reverse powerbomb onto the heels at ringside early in the match. Heels took over, though, about a minute later, and they isolated Rey in their corner. Mysterio fought back. He sent Balor over the barricade. Rey jumped on the barricade. Damian Priest cut him off. And Mysterio then crotched Priest. So they were standing on top of the barricade. It looked like maybe he was going to try to powerbomb Rey into the crowd, or maybe into the timekeeper area. Rey dropped down and basically swept his leg out, and Priest crotched himself on the barricade. And the cameraman got right up in his face. He zoomed in on Priest, and Priest was making these weird noises, which I guess if you crotched yourself, your voice would go up a few octaves. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But he sold the hell out of that crotch shot, though. Edge got the hot tag. He set up for the spear. Priest caused a distraction. Mysterio took out Priest with a senton off the apron. In the ring, Edge hit a 619. Not his move, but he tried. He hit a 619 on Balor, maybe like a 419. It's the thought that counts. Mysterio hit a splash on Balor for a near fall. Edge then speared Priest off the apron to the floor. Balor set up for the coup de grace to Edge, but Dominic caused a distraction. Mysterio then gave Balor a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. So Rhea Ripley saw what Dom did, and she wasn't very happy about this. So they cut back to Dominic, and Rhea Ripley comes over and forearms the fuck out of this kid and stiffs him and knocks him down, picks him up like she's going to body slam him. He must have been having the time of his life. And as she turns around, Mysterio came through the ropes with a tope into Dominic, who then knocked Rhea backwards into the barricade. Finish came when Dominic grabbed Balor's leg. Balor was coming off the ropes. He was going to try for something. And after he recovered, Dominic reached in. He yanked the leg out from underneath Balor. That allowed Rey Mysterio to hit the 619. And Edge then speared Balor. Coming out of the 619, he stumbled out of it right into a spear from Edge. And it was a hot finish. Crowd was molten for it. Baby faces go over. That surprised me. I was expecting Judgment Day to go over here. But the baby faces won. And actually, when this was over here, when the post-match angle was over, it made sense. It made sense why the baby faces won. So Dominic gets in the ring, and he's all excited, right? Because he helped them win, which he did. He interfered 2 different times in this match, and he helped his father and Edge win the match. Well, Edge and Rey are on the other side of the ring, and they're licking their wounds, and they're hugging, and they're celebrating, and Dom is all the way over here, and he's got this look on his face like, hello, I'm over here, like, I'm invisible, like, what's going on here? And he looks very distant, and he feels, he looks like he's being left out here. Rey finally goes over, he brings Dom in, for the celebration, but you could tell where this was headed by the look on his face. Dominic had a look on his face that you could tell this was not going to end well, at least for one of them. I didn't know if he was going to attack his father or just Edge, but Edge came over, and Edge, who was very happy to have won the match, Edge has this cheesy smile on his face, like he wants to bring it in, Dom, bring it in. And Dominic hauls off, and he kicks Edge in the crotch. And Edge gets this look on his face. His eyes bug out as he kind of slinks down onto his knees. Remember WrestleMania 19, after the Shawn Michaels Chris Jericho match, when Jericho kicked him in the nuts, and Shawn just kind of looked up at him and slid down. That's what Edge did here. But like the way he sold this though is great. So he fell to his knees. I think what happened here, because I was wondering, why is his sneaker missing? His sneaker came off. I think what happened is when he kicked Edge, the sneaker flew off. So he ended up taking off his other sneaker, because who wants to walk with just one sneaker? When he left the ring, both of his sneakers were in the ring, and I'm thinking, that looks weird. Why would he leave his fucking sneakers in the ring? You do that maybe when you're in someone else's house, not when you're in the ring. You don't leave your footwear behind, unless you're Matt Riddle. So Edge is down, and Rey is like, what are you doing? He can't believe what he just saw his son do. And Eddie's son walks over to Rey, and you can see it's coming. You can see that it's coming. Rey can't see it, but we could all see that it's coming. And he rears back, and he clobbers Rey hard with a clothesline. He stiffed the shit out of his father with this clothesline. You know that Rey went to him before the match and said, look, you got to lay that shit in on me. Okay, you got to make it look real. You got to make it look good. I don't want you to hold back because I'm your father. I want you to fucking hit me. And Dominic hit him. And Rey's not a big guy anyway. So Rey goes down. This got incredible heat. Incredible heat. The boos were raining down upon Dominic. The look on his face, his mannerisms, the way that he was, handling this in these 90 seconds. In these 90 seconds, he looked more like a pro wrestler than he has since his very first match on the main roster. I thought Dominic did a hell of a job with this. He didn't have to do much, but what he did, I thought he really sold this the right way. And again, he got the right reaction that they were hoping for, because you never know. If this was a crowd back in the U.S., if they were in almost any city in the U.S., I can almost guarantee you that when he clotheslined Rey, everybody would have cheered, and they would have been like, yes, 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 one more time, one more time. So you always worry, is it going to get the reaction that you're looking for? It got the reaction that they were hoping for. And Dominic just had this, like he was in another zone, this angry look on his face. And in the background, you can see the members of the Judgment Day laughing. You can see Balor and Priest and Rhea, they were all laughing. He didn't leave with them. So this was not a situation where Dominic joined the Judgment Day, at least not yet. Could still happen. He left on his own. This is something he did on his own because he felt left out. He felt like his father had betrayed him. He's family. He's blood. Edge is not. And yet you picked him to be your partner. Now you're celebrating with him. I helped you win the match. Fuck you. And we see the end result of that here. He ripped his shirt off as he was walking down the aisle. He looked like he had a confidence about him that I have not seen before. And I'm very, very curious now to hear that first promo. They might tease it out. Maybe we're not going to hear from him on Monday. We see that sometimes where the heel will say, I don't owe you anything, and they just kind of walk away and they milk it for a few weeks. I'm hoping they don't milk it for too long. I'm very curious what that first heel promo from him is going to sound like. Because I don't know that he has it in him. He did a great job here, but I'm not sold on Dominic as a heel going out there cutting heel promos. So I'm very, very curious to see if he has it in him. But I thought the way that they did this was excellent. And the way that they did this, the Judgment Day had to lose. I know the inclination from some is going to be, why couldn't they win? Why couldn't you just give the win to the Judgment Day and have Dominic turn during the match? You could have done that. You absolutely could have done that. You could have had him. There could have been a miscommunication, or the jealousy comes out of him and he costs his team the match by costing Edge the match. And Edge gets pinned. And then when the match is over is when he turns on Rey. You could have done it that way. But I see why they did it the way they did. He needed to help his father and Edge win the match. And then have things play out the way that it did for him to react the way that he did. And to just snap and lose it. So I understand why they did what they did. But we'll see. We'll see what that first heel Dominic promo is going to sound like. I don't know. I don't know if that's his strong suit. The spirit of Eddie, huh? The spirit of Eddie is taking over. Let me tell you something. If Dominic can have half of the charisma that Eddie Guerrero had, he'll do fine. So up next, we had a grudge match. Seth Rollins, one-on-one. He's still Seth freaking Rollins. I was kind of hoping Triple H would chop off the freaking, but he is still Seth freaking Rollins. One-on-one with Matt Riddle. Shout out to everybody, by the way, who blasted past 700 likes. So we will be doing Be the Booker a little bit later on. Just because we got past 650 doesn't mean that I don't want to go higher. I want to get high. I want to get really high. Like 1,000 high. So let's see if we can get to 1,000 likes. Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle, one-on-one. Riddle came out on the scooter, which I didn't like. I would not have had him come out on the scooter after what we saw on Monday. He should have been all business coming out here. Rollins came out dressed as Elton John from his Rocket Man movie. Crowd was humming his theme song as he came out. They did not, in fact, and what I was worried about, they did not, in fact, lock up to start this grudge match. They did start brawling out of the gate, which was good. I was a little worried they were going to have a collar and elbow tie-up to start this grudge match. Riddle kicked the hell out of Rollins until the referee pulled him off. Riddle got up in the ref's face, and the referee warned him. Gave him a stern warning. So after that, Riddle landed a pair of gut-wrench suplexes. Rollins came back with a clothesline, and Riddle countered with not one, but two sentons. Rollins hit a kick and a Falcon Arrow and landed a double stomp onto Riddle, who was hanging from the top turnbuckle in the Tree of Woe. Rollins placed Riddle back up on the top rope and hit a superplex. This is the spot where Rollins will hit the superplex into a Falcon Arrow, but this time he hit the superplex, and it was Riddle, who immediately popped up, and he countered with a Fisherman Buster instead. So he had that scouted. Riddle hit a bro to sleep, power bomb, and a knee strike for a near fall. Riddle came off the top, and Rollins got his knees up. And still, Riddle managed to sink in a triangle choke. Rollins looked to be fading, but Rollins started kicking Riddle, and then Rollins hit Riddle's finisher. He hit the Bro Derek. And I love the kick out here by Riddle. He got a shoulder up, but that was all he got up. He didn't get the whole arm up. He just like kind of flicked his shoulder up. Like he had almost nothing left, but he had just enough to get the shoulder up for the near fall. Rollins went for a stomp. Riddle cut him off. Rollins and Riddle, they went back and forth. Ended with a pedigree from Rollins, which got a big pop from the crowd. And again, Riddle got a shoulder up at the very last second. So Seth is frustrated, and he kneels down, and he grabs Riddle by the hair. And he starts to trash talk him. He starts going off again about how his wife left him, and his kids don't care about him, and he called Riddle a goddamn loser. His words. So Riddle started throwing open-handed slaps. He got tossed to the floor. When Riddle tried to make his way back inside, Rollins caught him with a Randy Orton draping DDT. And now Rollins is setting up for the RKO. And he comes in for the RKO, and Riddle catches him coming in for it with a rear naked choke. Then he mounts Rollins and starts laying in strikes. They roll out to the floor. Riddle smashed his Rollins' face into the top of the announce desk repeatedly over and over and over again. He goes over and he grabs a steel chair. So with Rollins still with his head lying on top of the announce desk, Riddle is going to smash his head. But before he can smash his head, Rollins runs back into the ring. So Riddle drops the chair. He slides in under the bottom rope, and immediately Seth Rollins catches him with the curb stomp. But he doesn't capitalize on it. He doesn't pin him right away. Riddle is down. Rollins is down. Rollins is going to give him another stomp. And then he has this eureka moment, and instead he decides to climb up to the middle rope on the inside. And he comes off and he delivers a super stomp. And then he pins Matt Riddle to win the match. And after the match, as Rollins left and he was smiling and he was basically saying, "I'm done with you," they cut back to Riddle in the ring looking at Rollins. He looked like he was going to cry. He looked like he was devastated by this loss. Unlike Drew McIntyre at the end of the main event, Riddle actually looked devastated when this match was over. So I thought these two guys had a very good match, but given how personal they made it on Monday, I was expecting more. I was expecting more, I don't know, aggression, violence. I mean, I guess they didn't attach a no DQ stip, which I would have done. But the fact that they didn't makes me think that they're going to run it back in an Extreme Rules match next month, which would be an appropriate stipulation for this. But I was expecting something a little bit different, as personal as they made it. It just came off like a typical, match to me. But I still thought it was very good. This does not feel like it's over. I do think we're going to get a rematch at Extreme Rules. And, look, if not, let's say that there is no rematch. Or let's say there is a rematch and Riddle loses again. What the hell do you do with Matt Riddle? Honestly, I don't really think there's anything for him to do other than wait for Randy Orton to come back and then get RK Bro back together. So, for his sake, I hope they keep this thing going. But as far as Seth Rollins is concerned, if Rollins is done with Riddle, or if he goes on, he beats Riddle in their rematch, let's say, you look ahead and you wonder what's next for Seth Rollins. I would have said if Roman Reigns dropped one or both of the championships, which he still might do, they still will probably find some way to split those titles before Survivor Series, I think. That could be his way in. If they split those titles and the WWE title goes back to Monday Night Raw, that's the in for Seth Rollins to win the WWE Championship to set up a match with Cody Rhodes when Cody comes back. Even though I still think the match to do is Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. So you've got two different directions you could potentially go in. You could do Cody and Rollins for the title, or you could do Cody and Rollins to set up Cody going to WrestleMania to challenge for the title. Either one of those directions works for me. And again, we've talked about this on the podcast before, where if Rollins is not the champion, the Royal Rumble would be the perfect place for it. It could come down to Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. Only one man can win. Cody goes over. But who knows when Cody will be back, right? The belief is that he'll be back in time for the Royal Rumble, but what if he's not? What if he's not ready? Right? We have to just wait and see. So they showed Roman Reigns earlier today in the back in his dressing room. He was schmoozing with Tyson Fury. Boy, he makes the rounds, doesn't he? And they showed Karrion Kross and Scarlett sitting in the crowd at ringside, which led to the final video package and led us to our main event. The reason that we are all here. For the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, Roman Reigns, 734 days. Coming into this show tonight as champion, defending his title against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, for weeks leading up to this show, was teasing Broken Dreams, his old theme song, coming back, and him using it on this show. He was teasing it so much that you had to know that it was going to happen. Otherwise, why the fuck would he be teasing it for? And we got Broken Dreams. It's such a great song. And what they did here, though, is they used Broken Dreams as a backdrop for another video package that was part of Drew's entrance, which was full of footage and highlights of him as a teenager, first getting into wrestling, and then in FCW, I think it was FCW, and then when he made the main roster as the Chosen One, all the way up until the modern day. And then Broken Dreams stopped, and they played his usual theme music. So I like what they did here. It was great to hear that music. It was this epic, video entrance, video package. And again, just another thing that they did where you think this guy's got to win. Right? I mean, the way they're building this up and the treatment they're giving this guy, man. And Sheamus failed to win the Intercontinental title earlier, which was kind of a buzzkill for the crowd. Surely they're not going to have Drew McIntyre go in there and lose also. So he came out. Fans were singing McIntyre's name, pumping him up as he awaited the entrance of the champion, who came to the ring without the bloodline. There was no Sami Zayn. There were no Usos. Well, there were no Usos until the end of the match. There were no Usos. And McIntyre, if you missed Smackdown last night, he laid waste to the bloodline at the end of the show. And then Michael Cole said that they were not medically cleared to be on the show here, so they were not here. Still no Paul Heyman either. Michael Cole compared it to the president coming out without his Secret Service agents. Roman was all alone. He had nobody with him. He had nobody to guide him. He had nobody to watch his back. He had nobody to take a bullet for him. We saw Sami Zayn take the bullet for him a couple of weeks ago. He didn't have any of that here on this show. He said that over the time that Roman Reigns has had this 2-year run as champion, there have been 55 other title changes in this company. Tonight we dance. Thank you, Joshua Edwards. We had the dancing Solomonster super chat there. That was my impression of Sami Zayn doing his horrible dance on Smackdown a few weeks ago. The one that cracked up Jey Uso when he was corpsing on camera. I think an actual corpse could probably do a better job of dancing than me. But yes, that was an interesting stat. There have been 55 other title changes in the last 2 years in WWE, while the main championships have stayed exactly, or the Universal title has stayed exactly where it is. So this had a big fight feel to it. This really did have a WrestleMania atmosphere. This felt like a WrestleMania main event. Crowd was amped up. Both guys were in there snarling at each other. Did the big intros, right? The big special entrance, at least for the challenger, the big special entrance. When the bell rang to start the match, the place exploded. People went crazy. Lots of chants for McIntyre, plenty of boos for Roman Reigns. Reigns tried a shoulder tackle early. McIntyre did not budge. And Roman Reigns had a look on his face like he couldn't believe it. Usually he smashes somebody, they go down. Drew did not go down. Roman was rattled. McIntyre followed that up with a shoulder tackle of his own that did take Roman down, and he rolled out to the floor to compose himself. McIntyre did the 10 punches in the corner. He clotheslined Roman out to the floor, and Roman landed on his feet. Drew followed him outside and drove him shoulder first into the ring steps. So Drew is in control here. All of a sudden, though, he's distracted because somebody in the crowd threw a water bottle at him. And the person who threw a water bottle at him was Karrion Kross, who was, as I mentioned before, sitting in the front row. Actually, he was sitting over where the aisleway is, like in that corner at the head of the aisleway. So he was trying to get Drew's attention, and he did. Drew got distracted, and that gave Roman an opening to blindside him from behind. So Drew barely made it back into the ring before the 10 count. Reigns is just smothering him with strikes. He posted McIntyre's shoulder first. Roman mowed him down coming off the ropes with a big boot. And Reigns started smacking him around, asking him, "Who do you think you are?" I always like it when Roman does the trash talking in his matches. Drew fought with one arm, trying to throw some chops, but Roman took him right back down. They each took turns trying to suplex each other before Roman just gave up on it, and he just pummeled him back down to the mat. Roman then asked for a microphone here in the middle of this match, and he told Cardiff to acknowledge me. And when he turned around, this was great. When he turned around, McIntyre caught him with the Glasgow kiss, the headbutt. This headbutt, it looked so good. It looked great. Like he just put his skull through Roman's face, and both guys fell down to the mat. Both men end up getting back to their feet. We got the yay boo spot as they traded blows. McIntyre with a clothesline and a second one. Back-to-back belly-to-belly overhead throws, followed by a neck breaker. We got a double down until McIntyre kipped up, and now the crowd is feeling it. Now the crowd feels like, all right, we may be heading for the finish line here. So he perches Roman up on the top rope, and he follows him up. Reigns, though, pulls his legs out from under him. And Drew was on top in a seated position. He ended up falling backwards in a tree of woe. Pulled himself up, though, and he grabbed a fistful of Roman's hair and yanked him off the top rope. He was setting up for the Claymore kick, but Reigns bailed out to the floor. Back inside, Reigns runs right into a spine buster. And McIntyre rolled over into a jackknife pin for a very close near fall. Roman came back with a rock bottom for a 2 count. He set up for the Superman punch. Drew ducked it, hit the Future Shock DDT. And here we go. Countdown to the Claymore. Here it comes. He's counting down. Roman intercepts it with a Superman punch for a near fall. Roman goes for the spear. but he ran into a kick. Drew goes for the Claymore, but Roman hits the spear. Caught him with the spear. Cut him in half. And McIntyre kicks out at 2.9999. You couldn't wait any longer to kick out, but he manages to kick out at the last moment. McIntyre gets to his feet. Roman locks on the guillotine. Drew breaks the hold. Roman gets the guillotine right back on, this time with the body scissors. But Drew is able to power out of it. Again, he breaks the hold, and he posts Roman's shoulder first, just like Roman did to him earlier in the match. Roman falls to the floor. Drew has to be mindful, as the announcers mentioned, he has to be mindful that you can't win the title on a countout. Tell that to Lex Luger. I wish that the announcers would have gotten up and mentioned that to him back in 93. So they're mentioning that, again, Drew has to get him back in the ring if he wants to win the championship. Drew heads outside. He gives Roman kind of a weak spear, if I'm being honest. He gives him a weak-looking spear through the barricade by the timekeeper's area. Back inside, Drew sets up for the Claymore, but he eats another spear coming in, and Reigns again goes for the pin, and again McIntyre kicks out. Reigns is arguing now with Charles Robinson. We don't usually see him having open arguments with the referee in his matches, but he's having an argument. He thought that was 3. Robinson is telling him no. All of a sudden, McIntyre comes in from behind with a Claymore right to the back of Roman's head, but he knocks Reigns into the referee, and Charles Robinson takes the dreaded ref bump. Down he goes. Down goes Lil Nate. So now we hear A-Town down. And here comes Austin Theory. Sprinting down to the ring. He's got his Money in the Bank briefcase with him. He's going to cash in Money in the Bank. He's going to turn this into a triple threat match. It's going to be WrestleMania 31 all over again. Unfortunately for him, when he goes over by the timekeeper's area and he's telling him, ring the bell, I'm going to cash in, before he could actually cash in, Tyson Fury reaches over the barricade and he knocks him into the middle of next week. He punches him right in his fucking face and knocks him out. So for the second straight pay-per-view, first it was SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar gave him an F5, ruined his cash-in. This time it was Tyson Fury. So that was the last that we saw of Austin Theory, who is probably going to have his jaw wired shut after that shot from the lineal champion, right? Is he still considered the lineal world champion? I don't get the whole lineal thing. I feel like it's a very convoluted thing. There's always some kind of debate about who the real lineal boxing champion is, and I don't know. That's like trying to figure out when Eric Bischoff handed Triple H the big gold belt in 2002. Like, is that a continuation of the WCW title history or not? Some people say it is, other people say it isn't. Is he the lineal world champion or not? I don't think he is. But anyway, Theory is out of the picture. So back in the ring, though, now that Theory has been knocked out, Reigns grabs a steel chair. He's going to use it on Drew. But as he goes to use it on Drew, McIntyre connects with the Claymore kick. And the referee is back in. You know, he got bumped, but he's back. He's right there. I bought into this near fall. And Drew goes to go for the cover. We get the 1, we get the 2. But Roman kicks out before 3. They got me on that near fall. That was a great near fall. So we end up getting a slugfest between both guys. There's a Superman punch, but then Drew comes back and hits the Glasgow kiss. McIntyre with a spear. Then he hits the Claymore kick. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's it. And they got a wide shot of the crowd, and this was going to be the big money shot, like WrestleMania main event shot where he gets the 3, and everybody in the building is just jumping for joy and celebrating. This is the moment that Drew McIntyre has been waiting 2.5 years to get, that he was deprived of back in 2020, right? Here it is. It's all building to this moment. And as he goes for the pin, the referee counts 1, the referee counts 2, and somebody who we cannot see drags Charles Robinson out to the floor. And then they cut to a shot outside, and we can see it's not Karrion Kross. It's someone who is wearing a hoodie. He's got the hood over his head. And then I'm looking, and I'm like, it becomes pretty clear who it is. Even before he pulls the hood down, it's pretty clear who it is. Pulls the hood down, and it's Solo Sikoa from NXT. The third Uso is now part of the bloodline. He has been called up to the main roster. What a first moment. What a debut. If you're debuting, you're coming out of NXT and you're making your debut on the main roster, to debut in this position in front of 62,000 people in the main event for the top championship in the company with the biggest star in the entire company. They have a hell of a lot of faith in this guy. So it's Solo Sikoa. Half the crowd, once he took the hood down, it did get a little bit of a reaction, but obviously not everybody is going to know who it is. Some people did recognize who it was, though. And McIntyre can't believe it. He tries to pull Sikoa into the ring. Turns around, though, right into a spear, and Roman Reigns gets the 1, 2, 3. To retain his championship, he lives on. The reign continues. The reigns of terror continues with Roman Reigns as the top champion in the company. And I'm always in situations like this, kind of like when Undertaker got pinned by Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I'm always looking out into the audience to see the crowd reaction. And you've never seen people so disappointed before. Disappointed and deflated. And I get Roman's the heel, and you know, Drew, the story is that Drew got screwed over, and they want you to feel that way, right? That's kind of the whole point of doing it. But again, I just when they did what they did here, and I thought they had an excellent match. Up until the finish, I thought this was excellent. But man, this was a match that was building to that big payoff, and they just took it away from you. And they just didn't give you anything. And it was just more of the same that you expect from Roman Reigns matches. If it wasn't Jey Uso, then it was Jimmy, when Jimmy finally came back from his knee injury, right? Because think of all the times that when it was only Jey, how many times did Jey Uso interfere? All those matches that Roman had with Drew at Survivor Series. I think he got involved. And at all the matches with Kevin Owens, and eventually Jimmy came back, and now it's both Usos getting involved. Now Sami Zayn thinks he's part of the bloodline. He's getting involved. Paul Heyman is getting involved. Fucking God Almighty got involved. Remember when God shook the ropes and Finn Balor face planted on his fucking face and the demon died? I mean, we could go down the whole laundry list, and now it's another Uso. And yet again, Roman Reigns gets saved by the Usos. He gets saved by his family. So you can understand why it would be such a deflating finish. And I just thought, man, they lugered him. They lugered this fucking guy. They really did. They may as well have put him on a bus. In 93, it was a bus. Maybe with Drew, they could have, I don't know, they could have put him on some other mode of transportation. He could have taken a bullet train. I don't know. But they lugered this guy. And then, to make it worse, it would have been much better to just let go off the air this way and leave it alone. And get that last shot of Roman Reigns leaving with Solo Sikoa. Roman was staring in front of the camera. He was talking shit. And just go off the air with that shot of Drew McIntyre just dejected and angry and end the show there. But they kept it going. And Tyson Fury got into the ring. And when I saw Tyson Fury get into the ring, I thought that they were going to shoot an angle here. And they were going to have Tyson Fury attack McIntyre, just as if he wasn't enough of a fucking loser at the end of this. But maybe they were going to set something up for the next Saudi Arabia show or something, right? The one time we saw Tyson Fury in the ring was in Saudi. And they have another Saudi Arabia show coming up in, I think, November. Either October or November. I think early November. So I thought, oh, shit, okay, well, whatever. I mean, I don't really give a fuck about Tyson Fury personally, but, you know, sorry, UK fans. But maybe they're going to shoot some kind of an angle here. Nope. He gets into the ring, and he helps Drew to his feet, and Fury takes the microphone, and he is paying respects to Drew, and they shake hands like they're friends, right? He's shaking hands with the guy. And he has the microphone, and he starts singing, which I guess is a thing that he does after his fights. I know that. But he starts singing American Pie. Like, ha, ha, Miss American Pie, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what the fuck am I watching here? American Pie? This guy just lost. You're singing American Pie? In the UK? He's singing like it's fucking karaoke night at the fucking goddamn bar down the block. I'm like, what is going on here? If I were Drew McIntyre, I would have taken that sword. I would have put it right through the back of his head. He might have gotten a big pop for doing that. So then he's singing, and McIntyre is joining in. He's singing, and then McIntyre takes the mic. And McIntyre is trying to get him to sing Sweet Caroline. And now I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on now. Now it's like I'm at Citi Field. What is this? He even acknowledges. He's like, are we still live? Are we still on the air? And I'm thinking, maybe they shouldn't be. This is something that would be fine, I guess, for the live house. But like, why are they airing this? Is this going anywhere? Why are they airing this? Why is Drew McIntyre trying to get this guy to sing Sweet Caroline? This guy is just made out to look like such a loser here. Just lost the biggest match of his career. He got screwed over. And literally at the end of his speech, he's out there and he's going, you know, I know we lost tonight, but we're going to go out here and we're going to party. You're going to party. You're going to party after what we just saw. Okay. Well, hey, he doesn't seem too bothered by it. I guess why should I be? He's going to party. I'm trying to debate in my head what's worse. Is Lex Luger celebrating with balloons worse than Drew McIntyre celebrating by karaokeing at the end of the show and talking about how he's going to go out and hit the town and party? I'm trying to think which ending makes the guy look worse. I don't know. I actually think the Drew thing makes him look worse. Actually, you know what? I take that back. Luger will always take the cake because Luger was actually encouraging the referee to count. Luger made no attempt to get Yokozuna back in the ring. That makes Lex Luger a fucking idiot. So that's still worse. But boy, they did Drew McIntyre no favors with the way things ended here on this show. And I don't know how you come back from this. I really don't. As far as if they have any intention of ever building him up as a serious contender again, I mean, you could always find ways to do it, but you're never going to be able to get that moment back. I don't know how you do it after this. Like, hey, I'm all for, if they want to extend the Roman story, I have been loving the stuff with him and Sami Zayn. I hope that story continues. And we talked about Cody Rhodes and how, you know, I would actually prefer that they go with Cody as the one. But for Drew, this is about as bad as it gets. He called his shot and he lost. And at the end of all of it, he decided to do karaoke and go out and party. So Drew McIntyre ends up a fucking loser here on this show. Even though the ending was kind of a sour way to go off the air, it doesn't change my mind on the show. I thought overall this was an excellent show. I enjoyed the show a lot. I had a lot of fun watching this show. Let's check out the Twitter poll and see if you agree with me, and most people do. Look at that. We have almost 2,500 votes already. This poll hasn't even been up a full 2 hours. 74% of you give Clash at the Castle a thumbs up. 15% thumbs in the middle, and 10% thumbs down. So go ahead and vote at Solomonster. For those who don't know, is my Twitter handle. That is the place to go. That poll's going to be up for a few days, so you can go ahead and vote. And let's scoot on over here to always my. I gotta go back to this though. Hold on. I gotta go back to this. I love this. Look at this. The family has expanded. I wonder where they're registered. I would love to send a gift. Maybe like something from Bye Bye Baby. Maybe they're registered there. I'll have to go check it out. The family has expanded, everybody. We have a new Uso. And his name is Solo Sikoa. I love it. I love it. Not if you're Drew McIntyre, you don't, but Clash at the Castle was an easy thumbs up show. And now we'll see tomorrow. We've got Worlds Collide. We've got All Out. They're going to try to top it, I'm sure. They're going to try to go out there and steal the weekend. I'm telling you, competition, man. Competition always breeds good things for the fans. I hope they go out there and try to steal the weekend. That means we're going to end up having a fantastic weekend of pro wrestling, which is never a bad thing. Doesn't he look cute, right? Little baby Sikoa in that sonogram. Bed Bath & Beyond. I saw Bed Bath & Beyond is closing 150 stores. They're not doing too well. Shinakuma, thank you for the $5. We lead off with Shin. Spicy Dried Chicken, dropping a pair of super chats. Man, this is really annoying. I still can't believe it. Before I went live, again, if you're tuning in late, like right as I was about to go live, the bulb blew in my lamp. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? So we have plenty of light still, but I couldn't believe it. Like, of all times for the bulb to blow, it had to blow 5 minutes before I went live. There she is. There's the tribal queen. Spicy Dried Chicken. The UK wrestling crowds are 100 times better than the US wrestling crowds when it comes to crowd chants. We are lazy and they are creative. He says, I'll take the UK wrestling fans all day long. I say the UK has some of the best fans in the world when it comes to reactions and atmosphere for a lot of these shows. They really are. They are some of the best fans in the world. Dorzak says only one word. He says Imperium. I agree. Donovan D, $9.99 super chat. Buy or sell pro wrestling being as good and hot as the late 90s or seeing your Mets win a World Series? Oh, ooh. Well, I'll tell you what. Pro wrestling can still be fun and can still do great business even if it doesn't match the heights of the late 90s. So I am going to choose the Mets in the World Series, which we are probably only weeks away from seeing that. I am very excited. The Undertaker 2024. I didn't even know he was running. Sheamus and Walter beat the hell out of each other, and I loved every minute of it. That was the match of the night. The match of the night was Walter and Sheamus, easily. Winter's Paw, I need a cigarette after that Walter-Sheamus match. He also says, the fact that I have no idea what you're saying. Involving Dominic proves that Triple H is the GOAT. Finally got revenge for Rey beating him at WWE 13. Well, the fact that they got you to care about Dominic. Boots, the $5 super chat. Billy Gunn and Rey Mysterio get attacked by their sons. Cue Cats in the Cradle. Hit that like button. If I'm Taz, I'm looking over my shoulder wherever I go. Johnny Francesi. Maybe I'm the minority, but that ending really soured an otherwise great show. If not now for Drew, are they just treading water for another 7 months for Cody? It looks that way. Cody or The Rock. That's what it looks like. Giovanni Anglin with the $10 super chat. With Solo Sikoa now seemingly part of the bloodline, how long do you think Sammy will be ousted from the bloodline? You know, I don't know, but I hope they drag it out a little bit longer because I'm not done yet. I want more of these segments with him. So I hope they keep it going for maybe another month or so, and then at some point you've got to build to, you know, him and KO reuniting and challenging the Usos for the tag team titles. Although, you know, Roman has the championships, the Usos have the tag team titles. Is Solo gonna go for the Intercontinental? Would they have him challenge Walter for the Intercontinental title? Darth Panic, I feel bad for the UK fans. They waited 30 years to get another major show, only to have left disappointed. Their consolation, a karaoke session with Tyson Fury. Yeah, that ending sucked with Tyson Fury. I have no idea why that made the airwaves. That should have been kept for the live crowd, and I just thought it was very stupid. It did no favors for Drew McIntyre. Chauncey Curry, just like you hoped they would not do, they lugered Drew McIntyre. That's right. That's right. They lugered him. Mr. AJ Allday, Sheamus versus Walter, match of the night. That bloodline runs deep, and I love it. Awesome pay-per-view. Donovan D, Lex Luger, Booker T, Drew McIntyre are the biggest missed opportunities to create a major superstar that WWE has made. Well, to be fair, I don't really think Drew McIntyre is going to get much bigger than he already is. It's not like he's going to be the next Stone Cold or anything like that, but just, again, for his story and his story arc and his character, I just think that he is going to come out of this in a far worse position than he was coming into it. The Undertaker 2024, that was dumb as hell. Drew singing after losing. No Tyson backstabbing or anything. Yeah, again, if it was an angle that they were going to shoot, then that's fine. But, you know, to have him singing karaoke and all, like, hunky-dory, I thought was just so fucking stupid. Zachy Kinlaw. I knew Roman would retain when Paul wasn't there. No way they would have him lose without capturing the look of shock on Paul Heyman's face. You know, I heard from a lot of people who were convinced that he was not going to lose just because they wouldn't have him lose before the Usos lose their titles. And there could be something to that. You know, the Usos maybe will lose their belts first before Roman does. Bobby's World 2110. If I owned a house, I totally would have bet on Drew winning tonight. Completely shocked. Are they really going to build to Cody winning? The reigns of terror has already stretched on for too long. It has been going for a very long time. And they don't have very many options left. Cody is one of the few. So Cody's not coming back though until next year. So we're gonna have to wait. We're gonna have to sit through this for a while longer. Meaty Sentai, as per usual, America beats the UK. You're gonna have heat with this chat. You keep saying stuff like that. MHS, good show, but the ending was awful. Challenger is screwed out of the title, but he wants to sing and party. Jury is still out on the Triple H era. Rizzo, overall great show, although the Fury McIntyre thing at the end was odd. Now where does Drew go from here? Also, I wonder if they keep the titles on Roman until WrestleMania. You know what? If he didn't lose those titles today, then they may as well. They may as well. He probably isn't going to be defending them as Survivor Series. And if he's going to lose the championships, it has to be on a major show. He's not losing them on TV. He's not losing them in Saudi Arabia. So think about it. He survived SummerSlam and Brock Lesnar. He survived Clash at the Castle and Drew McIntyre. They don't have anybody else immediately set up who's an obvious challenger for him. The next major event is the Royal Rumble. At that point, what the fuck? You may as well wait until WrestleMania. The only problem with that is that if they get The Rock, if The Rock just so happens to become available, and I don't think he will, but if he does, The Rock does not need to be wrestling for the championship. So Roman wins again? Are we really going to have 3 straight WrestleMania main events where the same heel goes over and retains his title? I mean, what the fuck do you do after that? They're so hot on this Rock and Roman match. Even Triple H told Ariel Helwani, the ball's in the Rock's court. We'd love to do it. It's LA, right? He's the king of LA. We'd love to have him. But I wonder, like, if they get The Rock, what do you do? If Roman still has the titles, you're just going to quickly get the titles off of him? You've got to build that up as a major moment. WrestleMania is the time to do that. Maybe he drops the titles on night 1, and then he beats The Rock on night 2. Let him take over the whole fucking show, both nights. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do. Dick the Cock Johnson, having Drew singing after losing the biggest match of his life in front of 50,000 people makes him look like a geek and a loser. It does. No argument from me. Ghostros. Drew should have won tonight. Solo could have helped. See, now I'm going to get confused. Now that we have Solo Sikoa, I don't know if you're talking about me or if you're talking about Solo Sikoa. Solo could have helped Roman win the title back. Griga with the $20 super chat drop. Griga, thank you. Who is next? Tribal Cheeks Rikishi replacing Heyman. But all seriousness, it was a great show. John Falchetta with the $2 super chat. Singing afterwards. Worse than Luger in 93. Brutal. I don't know. I still think Roman. I still think Luger takes the cake just because he was a complete idiot in the match. At least Drew got screwed over by somebody else. He didn't cause his own demise. Stephen McCade, I love the finish. Completely believe that Drew was winning, but I worry that there will not be a better spot to beat Roman. Oh, what was Solomonster Sikoa? I love it. That's going to be my new name now. Solomonster Sikoa. I could be like Sami Zayn, where I think I'm part of the bloodline, even though I'm really not. I'm gonna get a tribal tattoo on my neck, like right over here. I'll start going yeet every single week when we come live here on YouTube. I'll just start randomly like yeet, you know. Epsilon Sama, I'm so mad. What an FU finish. Drew got Luger. BComC clearly just showing some love and depressed, so I'm here. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope that you are less depressed now that you're able to hang out with all of us. Rizzo also, thumbs up to Bliss fan for getting, oh, middle finger. I thought that was a thumbs up. Middle finger to Bliss fan for getting my hopes up about Bray. I tried to tell Bliss fan and I tried to tell all the people talking about Bray Wyatt, it's not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. But they insisted on listening to bullshit sources who thought they knew something when in fact they did not know crap. And so this is what happens. You set yourself up for disappointment. I keep warning you. Bliss fan, I don't blame Zero. I blame you for believing in Zero News. I told you the other day. We had this discussion here on the stream. I went on a whole rant about being mindful of sources and where you get your information from and trusting in people like me, who when I talk about the news, I specifically don't talk about news from sources that are bullshit. So if I'm talking about it from a Mike Johnson or a Sean Ross Sapp or someone like that, you know it's coming from a reliable outlet. There's so much nonsense and BS on Twitter and stuff. You know, it's easy to kind of get consumed by it all. Don't do that. All you're doing is setting yourself up for disappointment. Rasquan Shabaka, one of our new channel members. What's going on, Rasquan? Great show. Love the finish. Did not expect Solo to show up, but definitely popped when he did. Interstellar, 1992, featuring Ric Flair, streaming now. Got that little plug in there. Thank you, Rasquan. Monando Boys. Might be recency bias, but this one felt worse than Naito losing at Wrestle Kingdom 12. I just hope that Drew does not end up like Naito did. Keep it up, Solomonster. Uffman, yeah, Bliss fans in the chat. Yeah, that's another one. Miguel, I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a Twitter account that has been fooling people into believing that it's Dave Meltzer, called Dave Metzler. People, of course, they don't see that. And so they're taking news from Dave Metzler, thinking that it's from Dave Meltzer. I mean, this is the kind of dumb shit that goes on Twitter and on social media. I'm saying, you guys got to be smarter about this. Brian Becerra with the $60 super chat drop. That was the, I think that was the Solomonster Bushwhacker one from earlier that I heard. The show was fine until the ending. It took one Uso with no criminal record and able to fly overseas to help Daddy retain the title. Also, never go against the family when it comes to Dominic. And Seth needs the return of Curryman. What? Oh, his costume. Yeah, he had the Curryman colors going on. I didn't know where you were going with that. But Brian, thank you very much. Kyle Murray, I've been watching since 2011. Thank you. I was still in high school. Well, now I feel old. I found out this week I'm going to be a dad. Love the show. Drew should have won. Thanks again. Well, everybody in the chat, wish congratulations to Kyle. That's awesome. That is awesome. Kyle is going to be a dad. I wonder if this is the sonogram. Is this the sonogram? Is this your new son? Look at this. He's adorable. I don't know. I don't know if that's the sonogram for his new baby. Ezekiel Alvin. Oh, wait, look at this. We have S. Jack just subscribed to the channel. Getting the thumbs up from Sasha Banks. Still no Sasha Banks. Maybe we'll get her on TV this week. Ezekiel Alvis. I was born a week from today on the 10th in 2004. I'm waiting for Sasha to leave my screen. Hey, Ukasha Munanya. Thank you for the subscribe. We are trying to climb our way to 71,000. 71,000 is the new goal for subs here on this channel. I can only get there if you subscribe. So don't just hit the like button, hit the sub button as well. But Ezekiel says that his birthday is coming up. And he goes, that was the best WWE pay-per-view I've seen live in my lifetime. If not Cody, do you think Rollins as a babyface? Boy, you know what Rollins has been doing lately? It's hard for me to see him going babyface anytime soon. I don't want to turn Rollins babyface before Cody comes back. So I'm going to say no. I mean, it could definitely work. I think Rollins getting over as a babyface and beating Roman, I think that could get over. I think that could work, but I would not turn him babyface before Cody comes back. Rasquan, hot take, Roman should not lose yet. See, I don't think that's a hot take. I think there's a lot of people who feel the same way that you do. Joseph Brooks, who had the best looking and the best finisher, Dudley's 3D or LOD Doomsday Device? Man, the Dudleys, when they would come up with these ways where the guy would be, coming off the ropes and like out of nowhere, they could just time it perfectly. It looks great. But I think, I go with LOD. There was something about the Doomsday Device and the way they would do it. It always looked devastating to me. Ty Arts with the $5 super chat. Hey, Solomonster, I watched Clash at the Castle this evening with my middle brother, Sam, and we had a great time. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. Tell Sam I said hello. I had a great time, too. I had a lot of fun watching the show. Anti-M Bishop 07, the Bloodline always wins. Cardiff, you were beautiful. Bring on GCW and All Out tomorrow. Not watching NXT. All the best, Solomonster. Oh, look at this guy. Look at this handsome devil who just popped up on screen. Brother. Hey, Zach Brown, thank you for the sub. Dude. Brother Jack Dude. Hey, I wonder if Hulk Hogan in the future will tell stories about the time that he wrestled in Cardiff at Clash at the Castle in front of 95,000 people. Spicy dried chicken without flavor. I'm going out on a limb here. Jon Moxley should retain as the AEW World Champion against CM Punk. Yeah, that's not going to happen. Anti-M Bishop AEW Dark special Saturday edition tonight on YouTube. Well, I will be sure not to watch. Spicy dried chicken. Triple H is about to play the game of chess with Tony Khan when it comes to booking wrestling shows. Scott Hall, thank you for the $1.99. Chris Marte, why did Triple H win at Judgment Day 2000? They were playing hot potato with the belt. Went to The Rock, then it went to Triple H, then the next month it went back to The Rock. I think it was just them, trying to create exciting television, and they just wanted to switch the title back a whole bunch of times. Thomas, Walter versus Sheamus was my favorite match tonight. Imperium is back, baby. Ty Arts, which of your YouTube videos would you say is your best work? Oh boy, I don't know. My best work? Like a specific stream? I don't know. I'm pretty proud of my Kaiser roll joke from the stream last night, which was completely unintended, but I saw an opening and I couldn't help myself. During the Ludwig Kaiser match. I'm pretty proud of that, but I think that's some recency bias involved there. I have no idea. I always have fun hanging out with you guys. Some streams end up being better than others, but I don't know if I have a specific one, honestly. off the top of my head, I don't know. I don't think I have one. I like to think they're all good. Tyard says, what are some of your favorite films of all time? Do you have one particular favorite movie ever made? Yes, The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is my all-time favorite movie. I am also a big fan, though, of... I have a lot of favorite movies. I mean, The Dark Knight would be number one, but I'm a fan of... Die Hard's pretty high up there on the list. Heat, you know, the Michael Mann movie's pretty high up there. But then I could also watch the original Toy Story. I love Halloween. I'm a huge John Carpenter fan. I think John Carpenter is the greatest director. So I could go from watching The Dark Knight to watching Toy Story to watching people get hacked up in Halloween, and then, you know, I like all kinds of genres, but those are some of my favorites. Bobbert Reviews with the $20 super chat. Props to Rollins hitting the curb stomp on Bret's rope. Well, Bret Hart used to do that elbow drop, I guess, right? Or the forearm off the middle rope on the inside. Yuki Kimura. How do you not put the titles on Drew? He was massively over throughout the match. They missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime moment for Drew. Yeah, I feel bad for him. But they obviously want to hold off until next year, because I can't imagine that they're going to be taking the championships off of him now anytime in the next few months. Who the fuck is he going to lose him to? There's no reason for Drew McIntyre to win the championship. This can't be a situation where, well, Drew will get a rematch. No. I mean, Drew can get a rematch, but he'll lose again. You're not going to go into Cardiff in front of 62,000 people and have Drew lose, but then put the title on him at fucking Extreme Rules. Like, this was it. Like, this was it. As far as he goes, it was now or never. And he failed, and that's it. There's no putting it on him in 2 months or 3 months, because you'll never get a better moment than the one that he had today on this show. Never going to have a better moment than that. Ty Arts, in your opinion, what is the funniest moment in the history of wrestling? Probably anything involving Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan. Juan Ocampo, been busy today with my sister's quinceañera. I love you, Carolina, from your big brother. Is it Carolina or Carolina? Say Carolina. Hell, I spent $3,500 for this party. Here's $5. Oh, gee, thanks. You spent $3,500 on your sister, but you only spent $5 on a total stranger. What the hell's wrong with you? Thanks a lot. Ty Arts, who had the most underrated title reign in the history? Boy, there's a lot of like historical questions that you have for me here. It's impossible for me to spit these answers out to you without giving them some thought. I mean, the most underrated title reign in the history of wrestling? Underrated title reign? I don't know about underrated. I don't know. You're stumping me with some of these questions. They're good questions, though. By the way, feel free in the chat to chime in here if you have some opinions of your own on these questions. Dr. Dakota Scorpio. First, as expected, Liv won clean and no Bray, so I saved myself $25. LOL. Second, Drew got lugered. Yes, he did. Ross Lawman. He's a lawman. UK dollar for the Solomonster. Love the stream. Is at a reasonable time for me for once. Least I can super chat this time. Thanks for all your work. Thank you, Ross. Very kind of you. Jake was in attendance. Great show apart from the end. Jet, do you think commentary has improved a lot lately? It's definitely better. It's definitely better, and I'm sure Michael Cole is probably enjoying his days at work a lot more than he used to. But yes, there's a noticeable improvement in the commentary. Akil Yajaman. with the $12 super chat. As Vince exits, both his chosen ones get simultaneously splashed. Drew should be fine, but man, they stole a feel-good moment from us and a deserved moment for him. I just hope Cody makes it to the Rumble. Also, Tyson Fury is a walking bobblehead. Ty Arts, which wrestler would you say is the next big thing? Also, would you put The Rock on your Mount Rushmore of favorite wrestlers? No, The Rock is not on my Mount Rushmore. As far as the next big thing in wrestling, hard to say. I mean, I see a lot of potential in people like Wardlow and Ricky Starks. Even Austin Theory, I know they're giving him the big push, but I think he's going to be a major star for them. I see in NXT, there's people down there like Braun Breaker. I think someone like a Braun Breaker could be the next big thing. I think there's a lot of possibilities, but you can never really predict who the crowd is going to attach itself to, who the crowd is going to get behind. Any of the names I just mentioned, though, could very well be the next guy that gets over. Or maybe there's a lady out there. They can get over the way Becky Lynch did. I see, in that situation, I don't know who that would be. I don't know that any of the women on the roster really jump out at me right now as the next big, like Becky Lynch of the women's division. But Becky Lynch, by the way, should be back within the month. So that's good news. She won't be out for too long. Dre Hund, WWE's 3D entrance graphics are pretty lame. MJF, yeah, well, of course, MJF. MJF could very well be the next big thing. It's all about the booking. We have to see how it plays out. Ty Arts with another $5 super chat. Favorite band or musician of all time? I know you like synthwave music, as do I. Kudos to you and your great videos. Well, thank you, Ty. Thank you for all of the super chat love, by the way, Ty Arts. I love synthwave. I am a big fan of that music, but my favorite artist or band of all time is Hall & Oates. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, imagine your MLB team doing karaoke with the home crowd after losing a heartbreaking Game 7 of the World Series. If the Mets go to the World Series and they lose in 7 games and they decide to do karaoke and sing Sweet Caroline at the end, I will become a Yankee fan. Joshua Edwards, upset that Broken Dreams wasn't his actual song. We are less than 100 likes away, I am being told, from 1,000. Can we do it? Can we make it? We're going to be getting out of here soon. You guys have only a few minutes left to make it happen. Ross Lawman, how is there 2,000 people watching live but only 566 likes? What the hell, guys? I want to be... Oh, he wants to be the booker. Well, you're going to get Be the Booker. We're going to do Be the Booker here in a second. Sometimes people get lazy and they don't want to hit that thumbs up. Ty Arts, if you were a wrestler, what song would you want as your entrance theme? What song would I want as my entrance theme if I were a wrestler? My. So many possibilities. You know what? Because it always gets me hyped up when he comes out, the closer for the Mets, when Edwin Diaz comes out, I would come out to Narco with the trumpet, get the trumpets going. Let's get Timmy Trumpet out there to play the trumpet. Yeah, I'd come out to Narco. Ariana Reviews in the chat wants to know, what is Be the Booker? Be the Booker is it's a very simple, stupid thing. It's a series of random animations of wrestlers that I put together. And we try to randomly book some matches at the end of every stream just to see how good of a job we do. If we can book better matches than the actual matches that we just watched. That's all it is. And people love it. Declan Malloy, as someone who was there live, I've got to say Edge was more popular in that building than Jesus would be in a church. That's pretty popular. Are you sure about that? Brian Becerra, thank you for the 30. Oh, I missed the Bully the Clown. Oh, now I'm sad. Now I'm a sad clown. Brian, thank you for the $30 super chat. I appreciate that. We've got Uffman Entertainment. Did Vince McMahon book that ending? The things change, the more they stay the same. Declan Malloy, not gonna lie, I thought the singing was just for us live. Right? I told you, it's weird. I don't think that, maybe that wasn't meant to air, and maybe Kevin Dunn fell asleep. Maybe he, you know, had a big lunch or something, and it was sitting on him, and he just kind of passed out at the controls, and I don't know. It was very strange that they put that on the air if they weren't shooting some kind of an angle for it. Lamar Smith, I never thought Roman was losing. I don't see him losing his title before the Usos. Darth Panic, I just got my arse kicked. Let's go party, says Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, I love it. We're going to call him that from now on. Chris Marte, buy or sell Rock vs. Benoit fully loaded 2000 or Rock and Angle No Way Out 2001. They were both very good, very similar matches. I probably would go with Rock and Angle. Osborne 1602, sweet show, but yes, that ending, yikes. Singing American Pie in Britain. I'm assuming that's just something that he does. EJ Slamp, Walter and Sheamus had the best main roster match that I have seen since Punk and Cena and Money in the Bank in 2011. I wish we could have seen Walter and Prime Undertaker. Don't give them any ideas. You know, Undertaker was in Cardiff. He's doing the one-man show thing. Don't let him hear you say that. Rizzo, that Zero News guy, just ruined his rep tonight with some of his quote-unquote rumors. As you say, Solo, be careful what wrestling news you trust. I say it all the time. I try to warn people. You've got to be mindful of where you get your news from. Whatever news you hear me talking about, it may not always come true. Sometimes rumors are just rumors, but I am not pulling news from random fucking Twitter accounts. I don't know why people keep falling into that trap. Ricky Edmond, what is the over-the-top Steve Austin rivalry from his top 4 rivals? Vince, Rock, Brett, and Triple H. What is the over-the-top? I don't know what you mean. If you mean the best of all the rivals, I mean, it's hard to top Austin McMahon. I mean, that's the rivalry that really blew up the whole Attitude Era. A lot of fun moments. MHS, random, but do you have a Spotify playlist of the background music that you use on the live streams? Could use some background music for my barbecue. I do not, but I do try to include, including on this stream, by the way, if you go to the bottom of the description box, if you're like, what was that song at the beginning? Not necessarily the ones you hear right now with the super chats, but like people were asking earlier about what I opened with. It's in the description. Von Tell, not only Sheamus Walter was match of the night, it was match of the year. I think it will be in the conversation for match of the year. Rooster Loving Man, which is always a little disturbing. Not gonna lie. LOL at Cole saying the Mysterio family collapsing harder than the New York Yankees. Oh, I did hear him say that. Collapsing harder than the New York Yankees. Also, does Dominic go with LDF and build to Rey versus Escobar at May? Oh, Legado del Fantasma. You know what? That is not a bad idea. Because Legado is probably going to be debuting any week now on the main roster. They're keeping them together. I love it. He joins Legado and we get Rey and Santos Escobar at WrestleMania. What a fucking match that would be. I'm trying to remember if we got Rey and if he wrestled, if King Cuerno, because he was King Cuerno on Lucha Underground. Did we ever get Rey and King Cuerno on Lucha Underground when Rey was there? I don't remember if we got a match between them or not. That would be a fucking great idea. I would endorse that. Absolutely. But there's probably a better chance of them building to Rey against Dominic at Mania, so. Drew, oh, look at this. He's back from last night. It's Drew McIntyre, everybody. Bloodline versus Imperium with KO and Zayn at Survivor Series. I don't know about KO and Zayn with Imperium, but I would love to see something with Imperium in the Bloodline. Absolutely. Declan Malloy, so who does Roman feud with between now and Mania? Could be another match with Drew. I could see them trying to squeeze one more match out of it. yeah, it's tough. I mean, who else is there, right? I mean, it's tough. I don't know. Sir Wilson 3S2K1, absolutely bored of Roman. WWE loves the heat. Betcha Theory cashes in on Cody at WrestleMania for the heat. See, that's something Vince McMahon would do. I would hope that Triple H is smarter than that. Devin from New Jersey, after Solomonster fights, he sings Out of Touch. Cerulean Capuchin. Every UK fan loved that ending with Fury. It was just perfectly British. I can see a rematch at Extreme Rules in a cage or Hell in a Cell. Opens up in the meantime for Survivor Series and build to Sami and KO winning at the Royal Rumble. The Atagaratsu, I feel like Reigns should be the first to lose the title. After years of bullying, the proper comeuppance is to be treated as a has-been by the family. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, though. Rizzo, I don't know if you saw this, but Andrade tweeted out a few hours ago. Obviously, could be just trolling, but maybe something behind it. So many people post cryptic things all the time. I've stopped trying to decode it. So I wouldn't even pay it a second thought, honestly, until somebody actually reports that he has been given his release. I don't believe that to be the case. Cameron Spencer, after my super chat last week, have you tried using ice in your cereal? No. And I am not going to try using ice in my cereal. It is a terrible idea. Dr. Dakota Scorpio, the apology must be loud and public, as loud and public as the disrespect. That directed at Bliss fan. Plus Ultra Adrian with the $10 super chat. I get the feeling that we are going to see Lashley and Walter at Survivor Series. That is if it is Raw versus SmackDown. Sounds good to me. Although I want more Sheamus and Walter. Ghostros, I meant Solo Sikoa. Well, thank you for clarifying that. Averager Gaming or Averager Gaming, don't know how it came across on TV, but Bayley was the third most over person on that show behind Drew and Edge. Overall, it was a fantastic experience live. Well, I'm glad you had fun. It was a lot of fun watching on TV. Kevin Coleman, great show, but hated the finish. They had an unforgettable moment with a hot crowd right there. Sometimes you just gotta pull the trigger. Garen Ayers, thank you for the $9.99, just showing some love. No message. Plus Ultra Adrian, Drew and Fury singing after losing the title match tonight. That don't work for me, brother. Ghostros, do you think MJF returns tomorrow? Yes, I do. After the main event. Tom Talks Rubbish. Great to finally catch a live stream. Why were they singing? Tom, I don't know. I wish I had a good answer for you. Very, very dumb. Everybody check out Tom Talks Rubbish on YouTube. He did a great interview with me a couple months ago. It was a couple months ago now. First timer, would you rather eat 32 empanadas with John Cena or eat deer and potatoes with Brock Lesnar? I would probably rather eat deer and potatoes and maybe just leave the deer to the side and just have the potatoes and eat with Brock Lesnar. Chris Underwood just finished up the show. Very solid. It's my 12-year-old, or my 12-year-old. It's my. That's what happens when you read too fast. It's my 12-year wedding anniversary, so before I go hammer back some beer, I had to show some love. Well, happy anniversary, Chris. Hammer back a beer for me. Dethronic78, I think Shayna should be Adam Pearce's hit woman against Ronda Rousey. Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea at all. Joseph Brooks, who was the better athlete for their size, Big Show or Andre the Giant? Big Show was very agile, especially when he was younger and he was more svelte. He was a hell of an athlete. I'm gonna go Big Show, and I know he played basketball as well, so he was a great athlete. Epsilon Sama, when the Mets lose versus the Yankees, what are you gonna sing? I'm not gonna sing anything because they're gonna beat their ass. Ricky Edmond, I mean Steve Austin over the top rivalry, as in yeah right, that could happen like a Fast and Furious movie, basically unbelievable. Oh, I still don't really understand what you're saying though. I mean, there was nothing really unbelievable about any of his feuds with Brett, with Rock, with Vince. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that. It's a weird way of phrasing that. Joseph Brooks, what about Lashley against Roman? They could do it. I don't get the sense that they want to, though. I thought they were going to do it coming out of the pay-per-view in June, or maybe out of Money in the Bank. One of them, when Lashley was first going babyface, and they didn't do it. Oh my goodness, I think we are caught up. I think we are caught up. See, it's getting darker outside, so it's getting darker in here. I got to go fix this light bulb. But you guys smashed the like, so we are going to do some Be the Booker before we get on out of here. And we are 20 likes away, guys. We are 20 likes away from 1,000. Are you going to leave me hanging before we get out of here? I just hit myself. You got to get me to 1,000 before I leave here. I mean, you want to make me happy. You got to get me to 1,000 before we leave here. But in the meantime, let's be the Booker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
There he is. There's the Tribal Chief, still the champion, so I don't have to change the graphic. I may have to ask Steve. Hey, Steve, if he's watching, we're gonna need some new Be the Booker graphics here. But at least this one is still usable. So, again, for those who don't know, we just booked some random matches here. We have one for the men, we have one for the ladies, and we have one for tag teams. And I created these myself. It's very time-consuming. But I like the way, I think it came out well. A lot of random names in here, so let's see what we come up with. We begin with the loose cannon, Brian Pillman. Oh, what he could have done in WWE if he wasn't hurt. If he wasn't hurt, the things he could have done. I still firmly believe that a healthy Brian Pillman would have been the first contender to Steve Austin for the championship coming out of WrestleMania. Although I'm sure he would have been very upset after Brett got screwed. He might have wanted out of the company, but Austin and Pillman would have had a tremendous feud in '98 for that title if he was healthy. Let's see who he's going to be getting into the ring with. Oh, look, it's Bratty Solomonster. Pointing a gun at my friend. That was me, by the way. That was legitimately me when I was 5. Alfredo, thank you for the sub. We're going to have Brian Pillman one-on-one with Mark Henry. Not the match I was hoping for. That's not the opponent that I would put in the ring with Brian Pillman. Although much love to the Hall of Pain, Mark Henry. But Mark Henry and Brian Pillman, that's not the match I want to see. Let's try the ladies. See what happens here. We begin with Medusa, former WWE Women's Champion, Alundra Blaze. Still looking good after all these years. See who Medusa is going to be getting into the ring with. We've got Medusa going one-on-one with Ruby Soho. I like it. I like it. That's a good match. Now we head over to the tag team side. We begin with the Freebirds. Oh, look at this. The Freebirds from their cup of coffee they had. Their very, very brief run in the WWF before they got fired. Michael P.S. Hayes, Terry Bam Bam Gordy. Look at this. We got the fabulous Freebirds going to be getting into the ring. Who are their opponents going to be? They're going to be taking on Techno Team 2000. Well, you can't win them all. That was no buys, is what that was. No buys. George Mazur. George Mazur dropped a $50 super chat here on the stream. I want to say thank you to George. He says, say Rock is confirmed for WrestleMania. When do you start the build with Roman, and how would you kickstart it? Does Rock have it in him to cut some serious promos rather than the usual shtick? You know, that's a good question. I think Rock is so used to the usual stuff that he does. Does he have it in him? Of course he does. I mean, he's The Rock. He's definitely got it in him. It's just a matter of whether or not he wants to cut those kinds of promos or not. As far as how you kick it off, I think it could be something as simple as Roman running through a few more people and then coming on TV one week after the Rumble and saying, there's nobody left. I'm going to retire. You know, and then all of a sudden we hear The Rock's music and he comes out. You could do something very basic like that. I don't see Rock being available to do run-ins. I don't see Rock being available to do matches before WrestleMania, and I wouldn't have him doing that anyway. So I think it would just have to be something where he's calling himself, you know, I'm the greatest in the Samoan dynasty, or, you know, something that just irritates The Rock that makes him step up and speak out is probably the way to go with that, because you're not going to get The Rock to do anything much more than that. If you actually can get him for Mania, it's going to be a very limited window. And to answer your other question, when do you kickstart it? That's up to The Rock. WWE can't do anything until The Rock says, I'm available, I want to do this. For all we know, he could turn around in January and tell them. We don't know. So ultimately, that's going to be The Rock's call to make. But again, thank you, brother, for the $50. I appreciate that. With the lights out, it looks like I turned heel. Yeah, with my broken light bulb, it looks like I turned heel. If I don't get this fixed tomorrow, it might be like this again tomorrow night. Actually, it'll be worse because I won't go live until after midnight. It'll be totally pitch black in here. Mr. Notorious Chico, maybe Braun is next for Roman if he returns. Braun Strowman is supposed to be on Raw. Don't tell anybody, but Braun Strowman is supposedly coming back on Raw this Monday night. Braun Strowman was put on the map by his feud with Roman Reigns. So if they want to rekindle Braun and Roman, I'm not completely against the idea, but no way should Braun Strowman be the one to come in and win the championship from him. So that ain't going to happen. Boots, Steve Austin against Spike Dudley is a yeah right rivalry. But it wasn't a rivalry, though. It was a match. Solomonster joined the Judgment Day. Steve says Solomonster is the newest member of the House of Black. Yeah, I feel like I am. I feel like I'm filming one of these House of Black in like a darkened room. Cameron Spencer. I unapologetically think the 24/7 segments are funny. This was my first time this year watching a WWE show. I would return if they beef up the comedy. Well, you and I are going to have to agree to disagree. Those 24/7 segments may have been funny in the first month or two they did them, but the 24/7 segments were some of the worst television that WWE was producing. I am happy that they are gone, and I hope they do not come back. They were lazy. They never even bothered to change them up. They never made them interesting. They never made them any different. You know, let's just send the brigade of idiots out there to interfere and run through in the middle of a match. It's dumb, it's stupid, and it's one of the greatest things that Triple H has done so far since he took over. And I say that unapologetically. Food Hive, I just saw you were live, forgot why. Yeah, I just felt like going live, you know. I just said, what the fuck, we'll just go live and we'll just talk about random shit. No reason. No reason. EJ Slamp, speaking of the Freebirds, Jimmy Garvin and Precious just celebrated their 50th anniversary. Have they been married the longest of any wrestling couple? Living wrestling couple? Probably, yeah. I can't think of anybody who even comes close. Vince and Linda aren't even really married anymore. How long have they been married for? Not 50 years, I know that. All right, guys, this has been, wow, you guys came out in full force. Holy shit. And we get to do it all over again tomorrow, because guess what? This train keeps on rolling. Tomorrow night, All Out. 15 matches. Can you believe that? 15 matches on this card. We're never going to get done. But as soon as All Out goes off the air, if it goes off the air, we will go live and we will run down the entire card. So I hope that you will join me for that. That is coming up tomorrow. I will not be doing a Worlds Collide review because there will simply not be any time for it. I'll be watching, but I will not be talking about NXT. But we will talk about AEW tomorrow. 15 matches. I mean, Tony Khan may add more. By the time we get to the pay-per-view, there may be 16 or 17. M. Mills, Michelle, yes, with the $10 super chat just popped up on my screen. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Good to hear from you. And Darth Panic, the stage is set for Cody to be the chosen one, to beat Roman upon his return. Could you see Karrion Kross beating Roman? He is a Triple H guy. Karrion Kross is not going to beat Roman Reigns. Karrion Kross should not beat Roman Reigns. And I like Karrion Kross, but he absolutely should not be beating Roman Reigns. So, to answer your question, no. No. And Gary Kozchuk. Hey, Gary, haven't heard from you in a while. He goes, how are you still alive? See, I misread that at first, and I thought that said, how are you still alive? And I thought, what a mean fucking thing to say to somebody. But now I see he says, how are you still alive? Well, we had a lot of feedback and a lot of super chats and a lot of reaction. And that's just the way it goes sometimes. When people are very engaged, I am engaged with them. We sacrifice dinner to get all of your questions and all of your super chats in. And yes, to the person who asked in the chat, Jittery, yes, there will be more Sound Off Gamer. It's just that I have not had a chance to record My Rise episode 9, but there will be more coming soon. And Dr. Dakota Scorpio, I don't have enough energy for All Out. Blew it all on Friday. See you on Sunday. Yeah, we got a podcast to do in the morning, too. I hope you guys probably up early afternoon. Check out episode 772 of the podcast. I'm going to be working on that and finalizing my notes on that tonight. So, man, I am exhausted. There's the Solomonster shuffle. There it is. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the 1,000 likes. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the love. And we'll do it all over again tomorrow night for All Out. Come on back. Hopefully, let there be light. I will see you guys tomorrow night. Take care.